So welcome, Denise. I'm joined today by Professor Denise Kirkpatrick who is from Western Sydney University, and she's the Senior Deputy Vice-Chancellor down there in Western Sydney. I say down, I mean I'm from Queensland, but she's down in Western Sydney. Denise was also previously the President of ACO from 2004 to 2007, and also is Learning Technologies Leadership Institute faculty member. So welcome, Denise. It's great to share this time with you.
Michael, thanks very much. Great to be here with you.
Great. In your current role, Denise, what influence do you have over technology-enhanced learning at your institution, the way it's going?
Okay, well, so look, as a member of the senior executive team, I do have a clear responsibility for setting some of our strategic directions. Of course, it's a university. We do that in consultation with our colleagues. And particularly some of my colleagues from the Deputy Vice-Chancellor Academic Division and our ITDS. But we engage in a lot of negotiation and consultation with our academic staff in particular and our professional staff, so looking for leads from them. But from a leadership perspective, setting our strategic priorities, strategic directions, and of course, that important aspect of strategy, framing our budget.
Mm. So how agile does that make a university, do you think?
Look, we've tried to build in agility. Obviously, there are areas of long-term investment, which we continually review. So some of the areas that we thought were going to be big pieces of investment, particularly things like immersive learning environments, which we were starting to build into all of our new campuses, we're starting to rethink those as technology changes. So you're quite right. It is important that we keep enough agility in. And then, of course, the agility to be able to respond to the sort of circumstances that have confronted all of us this year.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what's your kind of vision of how it's all going to evolve over the next 3 to 5 years? The million-dollar question.
Well, the million-dollar question, the one we've got wrong, I think, every time we've ever answered this in the past. I think we've all learned a little about that. Look, how do I think it's going to evolve? I think more and more what we will see is more integration of the ways in which we use technologies and the digital. With our students, I think more application in the management of students, the student experience, but the integration of all of that. I think we'll see less emphasis just on what technologies do we use to support learning. It will be how do we manage our student, how do we manage their achievements, how do we manage their experiences, how do we wrap it all together into the whole student journey. And I think we will start to see some of that extension beyond just their experience with us at the university. So I think managing some of those experiences, achievements and data about students that they bring with them and then that they take with them once they've graduated and move into the workplace or somewhere else.
Mm. So you see data playing a big role?
Look, I do. I'm hesitant to go down the whole analytics rabbit hole yet again. But look, it is the data about the students. It's the way we use that data, the discoverability of it. I think we're also, so there will be the analytics piece, and most universities have already now started to find some really effective application of that analytics piece. I think we'll see, when I talked about the data around students and digital management of the student experience, certainly much more work around pathways. I think this is going to link in to an extent with some of the implications we'll see of the proposed higher education reforms, with a slight shift to funding at the level of unit, so clusters applying at the level of unit, not a whole program. A big shift in almost all universities to multidisciplinarity, wanting breadth of student experience. I think managing student pathways and experiences, whether you manage them across the conventional organisational structures of a university, so across a school, across a faculty, but integrating in also some of those other learning experiences that they have outside of the formal education institution, allowing them to be able to pull them in, but also to help them both curate but be guided into some of their pathways and selections. So, 10 years ago, we were talking about how we might have some, you know, recommenders for students as they make their course and subject choices. I think we're starting to see some of that actually happen now, and it's starting to work in ways that work for the institution and the students.
Cool. So you above all people would know that the O in ACODE stands for open. And so, you know, we kind of feel there's a role for technology enhanced learning to democratise higher education. How do you see that kind of playing out over the next while?
Yeah, look, the whole democratisation of education and the digital role in that is something that I've been engaged in now for too many decades, I think. What I think we've seen actually during this last 12 months, we've actually seen some of the things that have driven us in universities to look to more open resources. You know, we've actually seen people starting to integrate some OERs into their course materials. Even us at Western Sydney shifting from our eBooks initiative to a much more OER initiative to provide students with the core learning materials that they're going to need. Open access is really important. But I guess from my perspective, I think one of the things that we've actually seen through this year, through the COVID-19 situation, is just how big and how real the digital divide still is. And if we talk about democratisation of education, I think COVID-19 has shown us that when we shifted to digital, and when I say we, I don't just mean universities, it was when schools moved to online learning, we saw so many students and so many schools and teachers excluded. So I think we do still have a way to go, and I think we need to be really creative and innovative in terms of how we think we're going to deliver digitally in a way that's still going to be accessible, that isn't going to narrow participation rather than widen it.
Cool. Okay, and really pulling this to a close now, what some inspiration or thoughts, last thoughts, major inspiration you have that would encourage people?
Major inspiration. Look, I don't want to labour the COVID-19 situation, but one of the things that I think many universities have discovered, and we certainly discovered it, this forced move into online learning, into really pushing people to flipped learning, will lead us, I think, to some fabulous hybrid models that we will see that will be much more sustainable. I think one of the other things it's done is it's demystified a lot of online learning for students and for staff. Students, we're getting a lot of reporting from our students that they're really enjoying it now. Their academic performance is as good, sometimes better than previously. So inspirationally, I think we've kind of broken through a bit of a resistance barrier. We've shown a lot of our colleagues and our students that it can be a very engaging way to learn. It's a great, it does allow you to do other things. I guess I've also been really excited by the amount of development we've done, and I would say collectively across the sector, around things like virtualization of labs, of experiments, and the willingness there to collaborate and to share. And I think some of that collaboration that started this year is something I hope we really keep up in the future, that sharing of those virtual resources, some of those open resources. So to come back to your open question, I think I am really inspired and I'm really enthusiastic about that sort of collaboration we've seen within universities and across the sector.
Cool. That is inspirational. Thanks so much. And
thanks very much, Michael.
All the best in the future with all this stuff. And yeah, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.